Midday recovery on Dalal Street ahead of the FOMC meet outcome later tonight. The Sensex as well as the Nifty recover from their morning lows led by energy and auto stocks. The broader market too sees some recovery in trade.
Bharti Hexacom owned 30% by government-owned telecommunication consultant India and 70% by Bharti Airtel gets SEBI's nod for divestment of TCI's stake via an IPO. The move can also potentially unlock value for the telecom major.
Hindustan Unilever says that it will evaluate options of exiting the ice cream business, which accounts for just 3% of its revenues, following parent Unilever announcing its intent to separate the businesses. Now, will this spell goodbye to quality walls? That remains the question.
Veteran investor Ramesh Dawani says the bull market is presently in its growth phase and PSU stocks will be leaders in this run. He is bullish on back office and digitization as themes besides privatization.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Nisha Podar and with me is my co-host Archana Solanki. Archana, good afternoon and welcome to Business Lunch anchoring. Let's focus on the market now. Let's take a look at Nifty 50. Of course, it was a sluggish and weakish start to the day, and it did fall further in the trading session, but the recovery has been quite stupendous. Over 150 points recovery by Nifty 50, and let's see how that really pans out in the second half of the trading session. At the moment, it is minor gains of about 50 points, 0.2% up on Nifty 50. Sensex 2 is gaining a little shy of 200 points. Bank Nifty is absolutely flat right now. And mid-cap index, that's the only one in the red zone right now, but with minor losses. And it has also recovered quite a bit from the low point of the trading session. Advanced decline ratio, because of the mid-caps and the broader market being on a weakish side, is in favor of the declines. So the market breadth is indicative of that. And some of the counters on Nifty 50, which is really being buoying that particular, index, are still the auto companies. The energy stocks are the ones which also gave a lot of momentum in the recovery. And some of the big boys like Reliance, SBI, they are the ones really pitching in. And on the flip side, remember with that big Tata TCS block sale, the Tata companies, shareholdings, sell off by the shareholders, where the anticipation of that big listing of Tata Sons probably is uncertain and probably may not happen. That is also causing some pressure on the Tata group of company stocks, which are down in trade today, Archana.
Right. Thank you, Nisha, for that comprehensive update. Let's begin Business Lunch by focusing on a CNBC-TV18 exclusive now. Nisha, you seem to be picking up some exclusive details on the Bharti Hexacom IPO. Tell us more about it.
So, Bharti Hexacom is a 70% subsidiary of Bharti Airtel. We had, late last year, we had flagged off that the IPO process has begun. This is with respect to the TCIL, the government-owned company's stake sale. That was the main purpose of this IPO process. And now the SEBI market regulator has approved this particular IPO. Now, the sources with direct knowledge have shared with CNBC-TV18 that the valuation expectation by Bharti Airtel for Bharti Hexacom IPO is close to about 28,000 crore rupees. Now, they have conducted roadshows and they must have got some investor appetite at those kind of valuations. On the other hand, we do gather that about 4,300 crore rupees could be the issue size, so about $500 million. So it's going to be a large IPO that is coming into the market. And when it comes to the timeline, just ending this financial year, this particular month, in the first week of April is when they plan to launch this IPO. Now, remember that 70% stake is owned by Bharti Airtel. It's not selling any shares. There is only offer for sale of close to about 15% stake, which is going to be done by TCIL. And on the other hand, there is no fresh issuance. But one thing to note when it comes to the shareholders of Bharti Airtel is definitely the value unlocking because of this particular IPO, and the valuations will be something to really watch out for, Archana.
All right, that was all eyes are on this IPO in April. Meanwhile, do you want to talk about the Brent prices that have breached the $87 per barrel mark?
There are just so many other factors which seem to be supporting crude oil prices on how they are trading. So if you look at this week itself, we are up by nearly 3%. If you look at 2024, we are up by 14% when it comes to the crude oil prices. And even with that 0.25% decline that you see on your screens, we are trading above $87 a barrel for the Brent prices. It is a 5-month highs for that commodity there. Well, the dollar index has gained for fifth straight day and it's trading at a 2-week highs. But and that's exactly the reason that you have seen a bit of a pressure coming into the markets. But apart from that, there is absolutely all other factors in support of rising crude prices. There have been various statements from Iraq, Saudi Arabia and Russia talking about cutting production and exports going forward. And then you're looking at strong Chinese data. So that tells you that the demand in that part of the world also seems to be getting better. It also is about Ukraine attacking almost 7 refining facilities in Russia. That has led to nearly 7% of a decline in refining capacity of Russia. And this is adding premium to prices. Looking at the kind of situation that there is, the geopolitical concerns have been quite on the stronger side in any case. The street will also watch out for, as you said, the US Fed meeting minutes, the US Fed meeting itself, and further cues would come in from that. But there's way more data coming in ahead of that as well. You also have Bank of England and UK and also Switzerland coming in with their monetary policy meetings, and that is where the crude will take trade from.
All right. Thanks so much, Manisha. All eyes would be on crude prices going forward. Listen into what Dan Yergin, who's the vice chairman and author of the new map, Energy, Climate and the Clash of Nations at S&P Global, had to say about rising oil prices from the sidelines of the CERAWeek Energy Conference. Listen in.
War here, and then a third war, which is the Iranian proxy war, of which the Houthis. So it is a dangerous time. And you can see the price of oil today is up because of these Russian refineries, which are about 16% of capacity. And what's particularly smart about what the Ukrainians did from their point of view, these are two of the refineries supply Moscow and central Russia. So there will be an impact as opposed to Siberia or somewhere else. So it is a precarious time.
All right, it's time for a short break. Coming up next, the U.S. Federal Reserve's decision is due later tonight. The Fed is largely expected to keep rates unchanged. More details when we return. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. The big update here is this is something interesting. This is about auto industry and it caters to the auto enthusiasts. A joint venture between JSW and MG Motor, that is called the JSW MG Motor India Private Limited, has unveiled the Cyberster, which is a pure electric long-range premium car which will be launched in the United Kingdom within 3 months and in India later this year.
All right, moving on, let's focus on the big global market cue we are all tracking today. The U.S. Federal Reserve's decision is due later tonight, and the Fed is largely expected to keep the rates unchanged. However, the investors anticipate that the central bank will start lowering the rates in the month of June's policy. Some investors are concerned that a recent spate of hot inflation reports could result in even fewer cuts than what the market was anticipating. In fact, CNBC's Steve Leisman is here with the takeaways from the CNBC Fed survey.
Suggesting a year with a little bit more growth, a greater chance of a soft landing, but maybe somewhat less easing from the Fed. Here are the Fed expectations from the survey. 100% see no cut in March, 100% see no cut in May, 59% see that first cut in June of 2024, 52% see a soft landing. That's the first time we've been over 50% and up from 47 in January. 460, call it, is the year-end 2024 funds rate, right in line with the Fed. And January 2025 is when the Fed would end quantitative tightening up from November in the past survey, so a little bit later than previously forecast. Forecasters have settled into an outlook for cuts every other meeting. You can start that. You can see that in the graph there. Starting in June, the percentage goes up, down, up, down. That's how they fit 3 in with that 75% in December would be the last cut. Maybe that's Powell skirting around the election right there. There was concern, especially in the survey, that Fed officials at this meeting could forecast just 2 cuts in their new projections as compared with 3 in the Fed's December outlook. Guy Labash, chief fixed income strategist at Janney Montgomery Scott, said the last 2 months of slightly elevated inflation readings have slammed the door on rate cuts. At the moment, there is a high probability the dot plot will include 2 rate cuts in 2024. The QT timeline, it was lengthened. August 2024 is when the Fed is expected to announce that it'll be done reducing its balance sheet. January 2025 is when it will end it, and it'll bring it down by about $1 trillion on the balance sheet or total, and then bank reserves would come down by about $700 billion to $2.9 trillion. That's the expectation in the market right now. Risks overall seem balanced. The Fed will cut too late, 50% are most worried about that. The Fed cutting too soon, 46% worried about that. And those results kind of echo what Fed Chairman Powell has been saying and probably is going to say tomorrow about the risk being balanced between the inflation and the employment goals. The question for equity markets, Joe, in the months ahead, just one of the questions, obviously, if inflation remains high, is better growth a good enough offset for what may be less Fed easing than previously thought?
All right, on that note, let's slip into a short break. When we return, we take a deep dive into the government's new rooftop solar scheme. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. A quick look at the market, and there is a lot of recovery in the last 15-20 minutes of trade. So take a look at Nifty 50, 21,900 level conquered, and it is gaining about 89 points at the moment, 0.4% up. Bank Nifty has also taken a lead, and on the other hand, remember, there is a broad-based recovery that is seen because the mid caps have also comfortably moved into the green zone. So yes, market momentum looking much better in the second half. Moving on, the government's announcement, remember, in the interim budget was a new rooftop solar scheme. But this is not the first time that the government is nudging households to install rooftop solar panels. As part of our ongoing series Election Exchange, Abhimanyu Sharma, our colleague, reports that this scheme is an improved version of our solar scheme launched in 2014. Take a look.
1 crore households will be enabled to obtain up to 300 units free electricity every month. Savings up to 15 to 18,000 rupees annually for households from free solar electricity and selling the surplus to the distribution companies.
The aim of this new rooftop solar scheme was to accelerate India's transition to renewable energy. Called the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, it had an outlay of 75,000 crore rupees for 5 years, and the government hopes 1 crore beneficiaries will get 300 units of free power through rooftop solar installations, helping them save up to 18,000 rupees every year. This is the second scheme to promote installation of solar panels on rooftops. In 2014, the government launched the rooftop solar program that aimed to achieve a cumulative installed capacity of 40 gigawatts by 2022. This deadline was extended to 2026, but as of November 2023, only 10.4 gigawatt capacity had been achieved. But slow offtake does not mean beneficiaries are unhappy with the scheme.
ये 10 किलोवाट का है पूरा सिस्टम और इसमें करीब 6 लाख रुपए करीब मेरे लगे हैं 1 लाख प्लस सब्सिडी मिली थी शायद मेरा बिल आएगा नहीं जब मैं रहूँगा तब भी नेट मीटरिंग है तो वो जितना भी बन रहा है सब मेरा डिपॉजिट हो रहा है
Net metering is a billing system whereby a consumer who generates electricity can use any excess energy generated at any point in the future at no extra cost. The allocation of the earlier rooftop solar scheme was roughly 12,000 crore rupees. The government has now decided to give a big boost to the scheme with a 75,000 crore allocation. Beneficiaries get 300 units of free electricity per month. Consumers would get subsidies in the range of rupees 3,000 to rupees 78,000 for solar systems, collateral-free, low-interest loans, and beneficiaries may even earn some income through sale of surplus power generated from their rooftop solar panels to DISCOMs. Industrial users of solar energy who avail the solar energy subsidy offered by Delhi State and not central subsidies are also seeing benefits.
I got it installed in last year, 2023. The expenses is around 50 lakh rupees. I think I can get it recovered within 3 to 5 years. That covers all my office and factory consumption. Almost every month I'm not getting any electricity bill.
Through net metering, we have received a good reduction in our electricity bill.
But experts say there are multiple reasons the earlier scheme did not take off as well as earlier expected. From cumbersome paperwork for individuals interested in installing rooftop systems, to finding and negotiating with installation providers, to obtaining clearances from DISCOMs. Many also point out that beneficiaries have been facing delays in subsidy disbursements.
The subsidy amount was around 1.17 lakhs was to be credited to my account, but unfortunately that has not come as yet. People lose the charm of going in for the scheme unless it is timely executed.
It's important to have a fully integrated supply chain in India. So manufacturing is a big focus. PLI for high efficiency solar PV modules is going to be the mainstay.
Smoothing out many of these wrinkles will mean that the new avatar of the rooftop solar energy scheme sees some strong traction. And that will be a big plus for the government, which hopes this new and improved 75,000 crore rupee rooftop solar scheme will accelerate India's adoption of solar energy in the overall renewable energy mix and get it closer to its green energy targets. In New Delhi, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC-TV18.
Shifting tracks now. Today, our country's Parsi community celebrates Navroz, or the Parsi New Year. Wishing our viewers a very happy Navroz. My colleagues Hormaz Fatakia and Zinia Baria visited the iconic Parsi dairy farm in Mumbai to discuss the Parsi cuisine and all the nostalgia around the festival. Take a look.
And what better day to celebrate it than Navroz?
And on this occasion of Navroz, we are here to take you to an iconic Parsi outlet, not only to celebrate Parsi food, but also to know more about Navroz and its significance.
So let's go.
Absolutely.
Tell us about how you all have celebrated Navroz over this course of time.
Since childhood, we've been working and we've been with family all the time. So what happens is we have to segregate our time between work and play, because Navroz is our peak festival. Correct. And at the same time we want to celebrate it with our families. The first part of the day is generally where all our sale and things like cottage cheese, paneer, sutar feni, all these things are picked up. And the second half of our day, we are with family. We go out for a movie, we go out for dinners, we go out, and that's how we spend our Navroz.
Which product has been the OG product here and that has lasted through the years?
Sutar feni.
In favorites, I would say sutar feni, yes.
It's
but
like
lasted
a
over the
no-brainer.
years, I would start with obviously milk being our base product.
Right.
But I think the favorite, yes,
It's
the
sutar
customer
feni.
favorite.
But
is
for the
sutar
benefit
feni.
of our viewers, you should tell them what Sutar feni actually is.
Oh yeah, of course. So Sutar feni it's basically strands of flour and pure ghee and sugar just melting in your mouth with dry fruits.
Yes.
The textures that it comes in, it's mind-blowing.
All right, quite a mouth-watering piece of story there, Archana. It's lunchtime, so we can really take off and have our lunch, and we are already, the appetizers have been shown already in this story. All right, with that, it's a wrap on Business Lunch from the entire team. Thanks so much for tuning in.